Welcome, ASLers, to another Vasling with Stu. We are going to have a doozy for you today. This is a fantastic game. ASL 250, the French decide to fight. Short SSRs in this one. BC, pretty simple to understand, but big area where the French have to set up in. 4 different turns of reinforcements of the Americans coming on in 3 different directions. They also have the observation plane as a reinforcement group. This one has a lot of action going on in this particular scenario. Essentially, you got 3 OBA modules. You got observation aircraft. You've got AA guns on the French side. So anti-tank weaponry, high elevation, Americans, French that love to fight. So let's get into a couple details here. I do want to pause and say that this episode has been sponsored in part by SitRep, Chris and Helen at SitRep, and also Ritter Krieg. Chris supplied some of the OBA markers that I used and I converted in our live game. What I did was I had some markers created, and I'll show you on the map a little bit later on. His OBA kit that he has, you draw chits out of a kit. Is it red? Is it black? Do you have access? Do you not have access? I'll show you those files in a little bit. Actually, here's just the general overview of the kit. He's got radio contact. This is great, especially for face-to-face, because you don't have to remember, oh, did I roll off? Oh, I forgot to roll for OBA. You've got the large chits on the left, as you see there, the radio contact DRM. It is a sizable chit. It's about this big. I've got it in my kit. I'll show you into it in just a bit. Those are large chits. You sit on the board, sit next to you wherever you want to put them. And then you also, as you're drawing the red and black chits out of the bag, I would suggest you buy a Crown Royal bag to go along with this one. The bag, for my hands, is a little bit small, but draw them out of the bag, place them on the map. Everyone sees how many you've drawn. You don't have to worry about a deck of cards. These are really small. You can see the bag there. They all fit in the bag regardless. Enough tokens are given to accommodate any nationality, whether it's red chits, plentiful chits, shortage, obviously that's not a problem. But lots of chits in this particular bag. Very easy as a physical, visual feature in the middle of a game, and especially a game like this. Like I say, I'll show you my setup. When you've got 3 OBA modules, it's got to be difficult to keep track of stuff. So it's easy to keep track of once you get it down. But thanks, Chris, for that item there, and Ritter Krieg for helping provide a small discount on the French module that I picked up about a year and a half ago. This was a lengthy scenario. It took us a long time to finish it. I had the video for it. The video is 9 hours long. Didn't want to give you a 9-hour video. So what we're doing here is we're revamping, going over the log file that was created, painstakingly created. Actually, we had a gap. We had to fix the log file. I had a couple gaps that to fill in there. Another odd thing that you will see is that all my units are concealed in the game during the replay of the log file. I'm not sure if that's an artifact of switching over from like 358 to 6, to 364, whatever the heck version I'm on. None of my items were showed up in hip status, which is kind of cool from a perspective on your part, where you won't know where they are. Well, you will know where they are because I'll tell you where they are. But you will see as the scenario progresses as the American advances, when he runs into them. They kind of come up pretty easy, but we'll get into that in just a second. But anyway, I want to thank Ritter Krieg and SitRep Battle School, Chris and Helen, for their assistance in getting this great game out. It's a long time overdue. Also, down below, let me get this off from the screen here first. Down below, as I was perusing other images on the Battle School site, what you want to do is I will link I'll have a link for you so you can head over to the SitRep Battle School site and read over the excellent articles and the very good summary of using OBA. Certain instances where you need to draw extra chits. Very easy read, very quick read. It summarizes the confusing parts of the flow chart. The rest of the flow chart is pretty simple. Contacting's easy, this, that, and the other. It doesn't really go into that, but it does give you some solid examples of going through the flow chart. Matter of fact, I'll give you a link for that site. Go to that site, read the article. I think Jim Bishop also helped in doing that, or he created it and Chris edited it. Excellent article and review. You have to read it, pure and simple. Just go there, read the article. Excellent pictures, excellent graphics on the pictures. Check it out. It's good stuff. Also, another, I think, basic points, I think, is what Jim points out, is that, or very simple points, but bullet points, I don't know, whatever. But also, in the Bounding Fire for AFBs, a lot of newer players and experienced players are very confused of what happens in Bounding Fire. Can I do this? Can I do that? Firing machine guns. There's lots of examples on that article as well. I'm pretty sure it's in Jim's site, his blog. But good stuff. Very good summary information for you. We all know how to move tanks. We all know how to roll dice to shoot tanks, machine guns. We understand rate of fire, turning a turret. Hopefully, most of us can understand how to manage the to-hit modifiers. This one goes the extra step in needing how you need to manage the concept of bounding fire, which is can be difficult in and of itself. But anyway, I'll link that link down below to the same site, at Chris's site. Simply because I'm not sure if I haven't seen Jim's, if those same images on Jim's. I got held up by the images on Chris's site, and so it's beautiful representation, very easy read, lots of solid examples, which is just missing from the ASL rulebook. Got to check the examples out, some tactics and some hints in what you need to look for and stuff like that. Again, just a great information. It's a must read. You've got to get on that. You've got to read it. Don't stop playing your ASL. If you're playing with OBA right now, stop playing. Go directly to a site and read that stuff right now. If you've got a couple AFBs, nope, take a break, spend 15 minutes, and go read it. All right? Anyway, enough of that. I just wanted to thank, again, our sponsors and point you guys into a direction where you could find some really good information to expand your game, to increase your knowledge of the game, and so on and so forth. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm initially going to cover my defensive setup, hopefully much shorter than what I'm showing you here. But my defensive setup, I'm going to give up to you, and then we'll go into Steve's offensive mind behind that, and then you'll have the video to enjoy at double speed, whatever you want. And thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you at the end. All right, ASLers, here is my setup in the game again, because let me see if I can zoom out here. I'll give you my defensive strategy. I wanted to do something really different in this game instead of just whatever. I mean, I've seen other examples of replays, not too many, but some. But again, a lot of stuff's going on this one here. 8.5 turn for me is the French, as you see. 9 turn for the Americans. You say, gosh, dude, that's a giant long scenario. Oh yeah, it kind of is. And but the beauty of this scenario, and I'll say it in the video as well, is that this is a classic squad leader scenario. Anytime you got 3 boards in classic squad leader, or GI in this case, you're going to have a fight over pretty much the entire board. Chateau de Cournoy, again, I mentioned in the video. Hill 621, which is the classic squad leader, probably the most popular scenario to date out of the 85 million scenarios that are made for squad leader. French decided to fight. I won't go too much in the scenario special rules. Pretty much it's just do you have to accept surrender? Civilian or interrogation is therefore given to you as the player. For the French, it really doesn't help them out that much. Pretty much the only thing interrogation will give the French in this scenario is loss of concealment. Don't give a crap. I'm already going to take that into consideration. But for the American player, I do have all my guns. As you see here, there's a gun. There's a gun at the top here, a gun over here, a gun there, top, and on the bottom over here. Oh, you behind me. Bottom over here. All right. The arrows, the blue arrows, are my setup area. I must set up within more than 5 hexes from the board edge. That's what that perimeter is. And so, so hopefully you can understand what that perimeter means. I'm going to shrink myself here for a second. So, if the victory conditions, as you can see on the side, one good order multi-man counter with a or a fully manned functioning support weapon gun, pretty much a good order unit with anything he's got in his hands. If it could see within normal range, and normal range for guns is 16 hexes, to the airfield. That's it. One unit. The French start with about 12 or 14 squads. Couple elite guys in there. I'm not going to worry about it. Field phone, which you see right here. Field phones differ from radios, which the Americans have a radio and an observation plane, which is essentially the same thing as a radio. Couple rules that will come into there. Contact on my field phone here and right in the middle is an 11. American contact on his radio is an 8. The Americans, his entry force over here, let's say 8, 10, 12 squads, a couple leaders, HMG, big fat HMG, mortar, medium, you know, we're saying rigmarole. Right-hand side, he doesn't really have that much. Bottom, same thing, not a lot. A couple support weapons here and there. 2 Stuarts, and I'm not sure what this one is. Some sort of half-track with a 75 on it and an AA gun. Excellent, excellent weapon right there. So my defense here is strictly, I wanted to do something really kind of off the wall. Try and keep my opponent guessing. Again, my AT gun here, I'll go in the defense. The basic idea of this AT gun, I'll go in my gun defense, and then we'll go into the infantry defense. AT gun in this location here, right on the edge. I honestly made a mistake, probably made a mistake in determining, I thought that the Americans were only going to enter at this location here. And I kind of made my defense for that, especially this unit can like fire at any approach to that. And my gun is in the wheat field here. Primarily this gun, which does have line of sight to the airfield, very important, is hidden, obviously. And then his armor that will enter on the bottom part of the board will just essentially proceed to go upwards. So if he decides to go upwards and reinforce with the group on the right-hand side, which is common, you know, send them a tank, give them a little bit of armor support, etc., etc., I've got it ready for him if necessary. If I deem it necessary to be able to fire on those units, to reveal my location, which will essentially get it destroyed because the Americans will just kill it. But if it's worth destruction of 1 or 2 AFVs, that's worth it. The 75 AA, we'll get into it last. The 47 here simply is to cover armor that may approach the 75 when it's revealed. Also, as you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6x range right there, pretty short. The AT gun also has a line of sight down this location or direction for any tanks that may be going that way. Also, the AT gun might have some line of sights through here. Gotta watch the building. It's a little close. We're looking to shots down here where my units get overrun. I don't want any tanks thinking that the game's over and they just want to willy-nilly and overrun my guys all day. As you don't see here, the French do have a number of fortifications. They have 2 trenches, I think, and I think 4 or 5 pre-game entrenchments, foxholes in that case may be. Both are entrenchments. One's foxhole, one's a trench. So I set up a trench in I-1 to simply stop the half-track from being able to go in amongst my units. I don't think it would have done that anyway. Also, a trench serves as a bog terrain for his armored fighting vehicles. Not that big a deterrent. It's like an 11 or 12. I wouldn't care about it. But, hey, it's something that my opponent has to think about. Another beautiful line that you have to take into a defense as the French is, well, the AFVs are less likely to, they might get bogged if they want to go through the woods. Might not want to do that. Over here, I'm going to have some protection. They're going to get destroyed if they go that way. So what routes the AFV is going to take on the left-hand side? If you notice this terrain feature here in the middle, that is a sunken road. AFVs may not cross over the dark areas of the sunken road. Their entry is down the road and only down the road. Okay, so you've got P3 you got to cover, W5 you got to cover. Notice W5 is covered. P3 I was considering placing a trench there again as a deterrent and also defense in terms of actually that's interesting that's there. A trench here, I'm wondering if a unit in Q3 can enter the trench directly because it's crossing that line, but it's not necessarily a crest line. I don't know, I have to check that out. I hadn't thought about that before. A trench here might allow a unit to go directly into the trench. I hadn't thought of that. So yeah, something there. And then cover into the woods. That's actually if that's the case, that's actually a really good spot, and I missed something on that. But anyway, armor's not going through here, which means I'm going to have a shorter shot on the armor. The 8-0, the field phone, hip doesn't know he's going to be there. I have a unit up here. This is level 3. As the attacker, you might think, okay, my enemy's going to use his field phone in a spot where he can see the entire board. Well, when you actually break it down, the difference between this location and this location, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much exactly the same. This field phone here, if he comes the top left, I simply blast the living daylights out of the forest, and he can blast this area up here. He has a line of sight, a trim line of sight right through this area here, and he also has line of sight to pretty much the entire way over this location here. So if the Americans come on this way, OBA's dropping on them. Harassing fire the entire game. Try not to do concentration. Harassing fire will slow the Americans' advance. Plus, with the Americans' morale value of 6 on most of his units, 7 on his good guys. Hey, it's a free shot. 4 firepower. You need your 6 for a morale check. Fantastic. If you slow him, I mean, it's just almost the same. So you'll see the activity from my radio there. AA gun here. I put it here. Say, hey, Stu, why'd you put it there? The guys can come up here and just attack you. That is correct. The AA gun's primary mission is to sit in a location where he cannot be spotted by the OBA, or the off-board observer in the airplane. He can be placed all along the bottom edge to observe. He's considered like level 4 or 5. Well, I'm in a blind hex to almost, I think, every single one of those locations. This one might have a line of sight in the bottom left corner. I don't know. It's pretty close. But everything else going to be out of line of sight. He can't then drop won't be a known enemy unit to him, and he won't be able to blow my AA gun up to take him out. So the key idea of where my entire AA gun is heavy AA fire. Chapter E, go read it. Roll low and you blow planes up. Pretty much that's it. So go check out Chapter E. Heavy AA fire, not light AA fire. Heavy AA fire is what we're looking at here. Unfortunately, with the way the rules are written, this unit was hip. So the idea is, if I'm hip, why do I get revealed if the unit's not an enemy ground unit? Because it's an enemy aerial unit, and none of his forces will have line of sight to that AA gun for quite some time into the game. Problem is that you will change your cover arc randomly. I think that's kind of bullshit, but anyway, that's in the rules. And for that matter, I think that hopefully that it's a game mechanic, and that you will lose your hip status at that point, allowing the enemy to hunt you down and destroy you to keep his aircraft on the game. I don't mind it so much. I mean, you're going to hear the explosions of the AA gun going off. Theoretically, that's the same thing as losing hip. Whatever. That's fine. But I had to dig that one out. I had to do a Perry says. Perry popped back pretty quick with that. He says, hey, he loses hip because TCA covered our change. It all makes sense, as the ASL rulebook usually does. So I'm satisfied with the resolution. I'm not happy with my guy being unhipped. But again, if he gets unhipped and he's away from the airfield, and again, you notice certain things here. A lot of things are away from the airfield. These guys are semi-close. I mean, they're not even stopping. No one is stopping the northern advance of the Americans. I don't really care. If they get there, that's fine. The whole idea is this is literally like 80% of my units right here, the bottom right. Again, I wanted to try something differently. Why are units here and here? Giant stacks. Can't see what's in them. There's a leader in each stack. Each one is going to try to, again, kindling's not applicable. I can burn the forest. The idea is I'm going to try and burn both forests, which will prevent those units for obtaining point blank positions on me, and therefore allow me to kind of essentially scope back to an area where I could defend better, and he'd have to attack from a different angle, right? Going straight down the road to these bushes here covers the entire airfield. If I could torch all this stuff here, he can't go there. He's got to move in the open. And that's where I could take advantage of my limited firepower against him. Pretty simple. It's a pretty simple defense. And plus, I'm hiding from the OBA, his OBA craft. All those guys are going to be entrenched. All those guys are going to be in trenches, +4 OBA. I don't really care. Are they concentrated? Yeah. But none of them are in the woods except for these guys. The rest of them are going to be outside the woods, maximizing their defense. Unit up here, medium machine gun. Leader on the bottom. Medium machine gun is simply to interdict units that might come on the board, get maybe a lucky shot against a 9-1. Essentially, quote, snipe him. The guy on the bottom is a leader. What's he going to do? He's going to burn the building. Going to light a fire under the building here. It's a wooden structure here, but it's a level 3 observation, essentially observation post. It's the aircraft tower. Because I'm not defending the top, if that HMG, which you can get there in about 3 or 4 turns, if that HMG occupies the higher level, which I'm not going to be able to stop them from getting there anyway, then none of my units will be able to move. It's as simple as that. None of my units will be able to move. An 8 firepower HMG with 3 rate of fire with a -1 leader is shredding everything on this entire board and probably a couple other players' games down the street. So that's the idea behind that. And the same thing with this guy over here. The American could approach this way because the terrain is excellent. I mean, this is all hindrance the entire way. And he's only essentially got 2 open ground hexes to get to. That's an option he might choose. And I'm going to torch that as well. One, if I torch this area behind him, he's less likely to come that direction, which saves the back of my OBA man here. The key is keeping this guy hidden from view from where he think it might be for most of the game, because that's the guy that's going to carry it for me. Once the AA gun gets revealed, he might make a beeline to it. And again, one of the key component of this specific game, and that's pretty much my setup there. The key component of this specific game is 4 American reinforcements groups. The top guys, crap load of dudes. Right side, handful of dudes. Bottom side, armor, handful of dudes. Nobody knows when they come on. I don't know when they come on and what order they come on. It's random. You roll a die, a D4, D6, whatever you want to do. Pull, straws, whatever. They come on different times. So the Americans' plan can change based upon my setup, based upon when his guys come on. What hurts me the most is if the top guys come on last, then turn 4, essentially it makes it a 6-turn game for those guys. And for those guys to get where they need to go in 6 turns could be problematic. Guys on the bottom, same sort of thing. If they come on last, they might not be able to make it to where they need to go. That's fewer turns that the tanks are going to be on the map, making their presence felt. Guys on the right coming on turn 4, who cares? These guys are the guys are closest to the fight, closest to the proximity. They can reinforce at any times. Again, this is a big scenario. Lots of stuff is going on in this scenario. You've got lots of things to think about as the French, lots of things to think about as the Americans. So you've got to manage your forces to the extent that you can make good progress while revealing as many units as possible. Again, there's lots of concealment terrain in this game. My weapons can be literally anywhere on the map that's in, actually it could be a non-concealment terrain as well. But there's a good number of units that have LOS to the airfield. As long as you understand your LOS lines of sight, where they can come from, then you can narrow down where all those hidden guns can be, because I think that's the biggest obstacle for the Americans in this one. They have the firepower to destroy the French. They will destroy the French. They need to find the guns. All right? That's about 20 minutes of blabber going on, but there's this one involves a lot. And also what I will show you, since we're done with that, I will show you the chits. Again, we have 3 OBA fire missions in this scenario. And from that, I had to do a different setup on the side here to keep track of all that stuff. And again, because I'm not showing you as I'm drawing them out of the bag, the OBA chits, I essentially created a feature that I can show you that will make them appear on the map. I did have 3 setups. I had a stream of chits going off the left-hand side, the top, and the right on the screen to show you each fire mission. But I'll just show you one right now. Essentially, these are the chits here. The one in the upper left you see is the no contact. That's the size I would have put it on the screen. If you wanted to have contact, I would simply just superimpose the contact image on that, which shows that my radio is in contact. Access, red chit, no access. You know, if I drew one. And then battery access is with the green. Well, with my field phone, it's 11. And to be honest with you, I rolled 10s most of the entire game. So I needed that to be a field phone. So that's your dice roll for contact. You've got contact and you've got access. So battery access, no access. And then we've got the chits. If I drew a red chit, I would simply place that on the side of the board there. A black chit, I have access. And then as I would draw my black chits, I simply layer them down so we can keep track of how many chits I had drawn. And I just made that generically go up to 8. I'm not sure how many the French got. Maybe they did get 8. I think I may have drawn 1 red chit during this scenario, which, to be honest with you, I think the French are 8 and 2. And once you draw that 1 red chit, the chances of your other red chit coming up are lower, because now the remaining pool might be 5 and 1. So you've got an 87% chance of getting that fire mission. Pretty damn good. So, but that's how the chits look. And that's the relative size, I believe. So you've got, in real life, the access chits are like about poker sized, and the big radio contact is large. Put that on your table, and you're ready to go for that. So those are the specific chits, again, supplied by Chris and Battle School, Chris and Helen Battle School. So good stuff there. I like them. I like the size. I just need a bigger bag. When you put your hand in the bag, it's kind of small. My hands are kind of big. Yeah. So anyway, that's what happens when you have a shaped gorilla playing ASL. So let's get to the game. Steve will go over his offensive strategy, and we'll go on for an hour or so, and I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, this has been kind of lengthy, but I just wanted to show you some of the details. I'm sure I left stuff out. My plan's, again, pretty simple. Concentrate, hopefully keep the Americans away from the OBA, and try and put the pressure on with hip units. Very interesting scenario. I encourage everyone to try this one at least once. It adds a lot of different types of rules that you have to keep track of. It maximizes, or it pushes you to the limit of unit management, area management. You know, it's not a small scenario where all the fighting is done in one little area. You've got different areas of very heavy importance that you must succeed at. And and you will see during the progression of the game how that goes back and forth on both sides of the coin. All right. thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for sticking around. Pause it here, hit triple speed, whatever you need to do, and enjoy the show. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so here we are, 250. French decide to fight. My goal is to make sure there's no French units within a line of sight of the airfield. I think it's out to 16 hexes, which there's not a lot of spots. My goal is my top guys on board 4 are just going to push hard down the board to the airfield. They'll spread out a little bit towards the which direction is that? As you're looking at the board, they're going to go to the right or to the left, but not very far because of the worrying about the range. That's my goal. There, the guys on the right hand side, because there's some potentially tricky spots, he could have his AT guns there. I'm going to move my guys towards the tree line and then down to go through those to the wheat fields because I have wheat fields and buildings. I think there may be something there, and that would allow me to move back up into the trees if I need to. The final group at the bottom, board 6, they're going to push up through basically through the middle of the board, but because of where his guns could be, there may be some guys way out on board 15, somewhere in AA7 or BB7 or that clump of trees in Z4 that the gun could be and easily see that. So I suspect that I'm going to have to go after those X's as well. So that's my plan. I'm going to send my guys up to the middle and over that way to see if I can find some guns. Okay.
Yep, sounds cool. All right, so I guess we'll start turn one, and obviously, as we said before, American reinforcements come on randomly on a per turn basis. There's 4 different groups. Steve started with the top group, and he rolled the top group to come on first. The second group, we don't know which one comes on, and the third, and then the fourth group technically is an OBA observer aircraft on that one there. So how would for you, as terms of the Americans, what do you perceive based upon my setup? What priorities, which reinforcements groups did you want to come on and when and why? I mean, it makes a
I
big
want,
difference in this one here.
yes, I actually wanted my top guys to come on first because they have the longest way to go. So I wanted them on first. Uh, I really didn't care about the spotter aircraft because on my first group I get an OBA. My next group probably would have liked to seen the guys at the bottom, uh, or like to see the guys in the bottom, and then the third would be the guys on the right hand side. That's my preference, but I definitely want to see the guys on the top come on first. I need that. I need that time to move down the board.
Yeah, I agree. Because if those guys essentially, if those guys come on turn 4, you have 6 turns with those units, and at that point, now let's say they come on turn 1. So we'll see what happens when they come on turn 1. How would that change the game if they came on turn 4? I mean, that make a big difference with me as well because as you see from my forces, most of my guys are in the southern part of the board. And let's say I do a successful fighting withdrawal to the forest tree line there and possibly to the airfield with those particular units because I screwed up. I didn't even think, I thought the units on the right hand side would come on board 14 there and not on board 6. So I completely screwed that up. But um, it actually kind of helps because I think if they came on board 14, it'd make it a lot easier for them to establish a stronger foothold into the airfield. So if the guys on top came on turn 4, how would that change your strategy with the guys on the bottom? Because I mean, it's a big dynamic scenario in that sort of aspect.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. Um, I probably would have done the similar, although I would have sent less guys to the left. and more guys up to the tree line. I'm going to guess. It's really tough to tell, right? I mean, as you go along, depending what you happened, and again, which guys came on first. If they were on, if those guys are coming on first, because of where your position is, I believe I have a greater free reign of where I want to go, so I could push harder and not worry about being in open ground so much. And the guys on the left, on the right hand side, I would still bring them on the low side of or the top part of board 6, because I want to make sure there's nothing there that can see the airfield. So
Right.
those guys, I would do that anyways, and I probably would send. I would probably send less guys. Well, I said both my tanks. I probably would have sent. No, I think I would have done the same. I just the guys in the top would have had a much different time. They would have just had to go hell bent for leather, I think.
Right. They just have to charge.
Yeah,
They would just have to charge. You couldn't really kind of pause to engage.
yeah.
Not that I had, not that I had a lot of shit up there anyway. But as you see, the situation changes, and of course, my
Yeah.
setup area is in the blue, so you really don't need to enter that bottom right-hand side wheat field by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, and I didn't.
that's a big difference there. Now
I
the
also did.
yeah.
I also didn't have to worry about the buildings. Anything from A to D on board 14. Right. You couldn't set up anybody in there, so I wasn't too worried. You could potentially have guys in the wheat fields, but I figured I'd probably have enough guys, especially when the guys came in on the first turn. They would be able to make that wheat field.
Right, right.
So
If I had my artillery or pieces, ordnance pieces in that wheat field, most likely. Well, I do have some guys right on the tower in the middle, but I'd probably have some other guys covering the wheat field. So because you are the Americans, you have tons of firepower, and those are your best troops, 7 morale troops. So it doesn't matter what I have to field against you, you're going to go through that field pretty easily.
mhm.
So now, one more thing before we start the log. Your thoughts on all of the clump of guys right there, so that'd be most of my units. Your thoughts on what K10 and the tower represents in my defense. When you saw those, like, why? Okay, he can't even defire against me in K10 tower. I mean, what were your thoughts in terms of engagement in on those units?
I figured you probably had a machine gun up there. Make sure keep me honest, keep my concealed guys from me gaining too much concealment. I wasn't really concerned, other than the guys in the bottom. I thought of the building. I thought I'm going to have to dig you out, out of that building. The guys over in K10, I figured they would attempt to swing back, so I had to keep you out of normal range of the airfield. So again, the only place I was worried about is that you would have had to come back to the buildings well, actually not even, you couldn't see it in the buildings unless you're on the first level of S9.
Hmm.
Right. So
Oh,
I
right.
wasn't sure what those guys were going to do, other than I figured they'd try to do an end around. So I needed to try to protect for that.
That makes sense. That makes sense on where you put your stuff during the game. All right, very cool. All right, let's go with the log. Now that we've got unless you want something else to add on, like maybe
No,
what you want to do with your armor when it comes on.
well, I needed the speed to get where I believed your guns are, or what guns were.
Right,
I needed to get there, and I needed you to show me so that I could go after them.
right.
So really, at least one of the guns was used as bait.
Yeah,
One of the
reserve,
tanks
and the
was
other
used
everyone
as
else
bait.
is reserve. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The 75, I kind of saw you do that. I love that. I love that gun there. It's actually got an AA machine gun on it, so it's a very fine unit in this particular engagement here. All right, so let's start with the log. Again, you got the top guys on for reinforcements. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Oops, or maybe not. Choose the LOS. This will go pretty fast because there's not a lot of engagement. You might see some stuff that we set up our snipers down, and then you just kind of come on board. And you're right, that's pretty much the primary reason of the unit on top of the level 3 is I exposed, I think, a half squad. I don't even know what the hell it is. I can't even see it.
Yeah.
But it's a half squad just to lose concealment because I don't want you, once you engage my units, to have any form of defense other than the TEM you're in, because your firepower exceeds mine. And if you have concealment going into that village or the airfield, that's just game over. And so that's why you're losing all your guys are stripping concealments for the most part, except for your leaders holding back. And I think I got a lucky shot. Remember, we are using live dice, and no dice are popping up on the screen. Unfortunately,
fantastic dice.
Yeah, excellent dice, and I got some good shots. No complaints on my side. Yeah, no Valzabot screaming on the dice, and great dice towers, shit like that.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to encourage people to use their dice and not the Basel.
Yeah.
Dice. I part of the game for me is rolling dice.
Yeah, and the thing about that is you can still do it on Basel because most of the time people are playing with people they know. And if not, you could easily set up a camera on the side. It's very simple to do. And I mean, shit, with technology today, you could just FaceTime somebody and use your phone while you're on Discord, to hell with Skype, while you're on Discord, and you could FaceTime with your phone, and you could show your dice bot or dice whatever from that case. Plug your phone in so you don't lose power. Of course, it should probably be a 2-hour session, but I think it's worth it. A lot of people are complaining about the dice bot, good and bad, whatever. I don't care if it's perfect. We buy our dice. We like to play. We like to roll. Throw it in your glass to make tons of shitloads of noise, or throw it down your $150 dice tower. Either way, I think you'll just have more enjoyment out of the game. And then you'll get used to bending and stretching when the dice fall out of your dice tower and roll behind your computer, so you can get down off your seat in the 12 hours that you sit there like I do. And then
get a little exercise.
Yeah, get a little exercise when you're playing ASL. How do you get my workout? Roll my dice tower, my 55 millimeter dice. And but yeah, I would also do that. It's very simple to do. Technology is so simplified today. Literally, children can do it. So no excuses.
And it doesn't matter. You can do FaceTime. You can do Duo. You can do Skype. You can
no
do
Skype.
Discord.
You can't do Skype. You can't do it on Skype.
Okay.
You can't do it on Skype. Skype does not allow that function. That function was removed by Microsoft. Matter of fact, Skype was owned by Microsoft. They're actually watching your game at that point. Some person in India in some back sweatshop with no AC is probably watching your game on Skype, but not on Discord. And again, with regards to online, if you go online, I encourage you to go on Discord and not Skype, obviously, and don't go in your separate rooms. And again, this is my opinion. If you are willing to share and meet other people and meet exciting new people, and potentially, very potentially, highly potentially, meet new opponents, go into your Discord room. Do not call the guy directly, because that will not show up in your Discord server. Whether you go to ASL Skills, whether you go to ASL Central, just go into one of the assigned rooms. ASL Skills has a room. What did I designate it as? If you go to ASL Skills, the rooms automatically populate. Just click on the ASL SK voice rooms. When you click on that, a room will appear with your name. That will be your room, and your opponent can then enter that room, and then you guys can chat from there. So,
and the really nice thing about Discord is you can send an invite, which will be sent to the guy, so he can just click on it, go right into your room.
Right. If he's on, if he's on your friends list. If he's on your friend list, invite him. Boom. You've got your group. If you've got your group that you play with, the Scottish guys play every Friday. They've got a great bunch of guys there. They do invites, and they do exactly the same thing. They have a great discussion at the end of the day. with their scenario of the week. Fantastic group going on. I think the Spanish group has something very similar, but that might be more in terms of training and tutoring. The Russian ASL group has a great SK club going on there. And although it's not online, they do have a great ASL club, and they post a lot of stuff too. The skills and the tactical Tuesday, a great contributor to those. So multinational ASL playing, it's just fantastic that we have these other groups doing. Now the next step is to, get all these ASL players sort of chatting with one another. If you don't want to do that, that's fine and dandy. But if you're excited to play with other people, especially from other countries, invite them to this sort of format. Skype does not really accentuate that. There's too much bullshit behind in my opinion. You got to click on somebody, invite him to the game. You get this, that, and it delays the game. You're sitting right there. If Steve and I are playing here, although I've locked the room, guys can come and go as they please into the room, listen to your game while they're having lunch or avoiding their wife, and then they can listen to your ASL game and your ASL chatter. Watching ASL is terrible. Don't do it. Try to listen to it. Simple as that. So that's my spiel on Discord. It's not hard to do. You use FaceTime. You could do a little stupid $20 camera you could buy from eBay or Craigslist, and put a camera on your dice. I've got like 10 cameras. They're not that expensive. And so dice your dice tower, or just say, hey, I rolled a 5 with rate of fire. If they're your buddy, it's not a big deal. So
And now you're gonna get off your soapbox.
no, my soapbox is pretty damn big. If I get off, I might fall and injure myself. So I got to stay on it for like weeks on end. But yeah, Discord is, if you want to increase your player base, have fun with other people, and have them engage in your game, that's fine. If you want to be a hermit, Skype. Anyway, the evil American oppressor is coming on. I'm dropping an SR on him. Again, where this SR drops, right there and there, that's a problem, right? I mean,
Yep.
As an American, as what you're doing, what your plan is, all of a sudden this SR drops right in front of your face. What's your plan for that SR, for my OBA at this point? Because that's a lot of guys, and there's no terrain in that board 4.
Yeah, I actually thought you were in P6. I thought you were in P6 or possibly in the wheat field in 08.
P6. Oh, I see P6. Yeah.
I figured that's where you were.
And
I think we'll find out where you are later. Excellent spot. But I thought that might be where you are.
Oh, okay. So, like right behind the wall in 08 and P6.
Yeah.
And that makes kind of sense, because I can just drop it right down on me on P6 if you shut me too close, and that's really not.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a stepping off point. But okay, that's cool. I just didn't know, because that was a big part. I mean, pretty much this whole game I just had OBA, and a big part of it was keeping my OBA and dropping it down where specific spots that to try to keep you guessing. I'm not sure how long that lasts, but we'll get to that point.
I'm gonna admit now. It lasted till all but the second last turn.
Yeah, and at that point, it didn't matter too much.
Yeah.
But the SR. The SR just drifted. No big deal.
Yeah.
And then your guy in the wheat field, is he just scouting in the wheat? He's just scouting the wheat field. Okay.
Yeah, we're heading down the wheat field because again they can see. Well, a lot of those hexes can see the airfield, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time going, oh, does this one have a line of sight or this one? I figured I'm just going to go through them.
Right.
I'll go through all of them, and then we'll know.
And then the lucky bastard hits my AA gun. So straight off. So I figured my idea of the AA gun. Well, I've already described it in there, but I did get lucky. I did kill the little bastard in close combat, probably because he was CX. That's probably the only reason why. Well, CX, I'm in concealment terrain, or I'm concealed, so I had like a -3 on the modifier. Even I can ambush somebody with that barely, and so I got lucky. At this point, it's odd that the Americans have lots of units, but if you can inflict enough casualties in a particular area, the top one he's got a shitload of guys, but enough casualties in certain groups can almost nullify that group because I've concentrated all my forces in one area. Um, and if I should happen to blast a number of guys with my OBA, the guys on the top, pretty much 3 or 4 or 5 squads are going to be coming in to try and root me from the area. Obviously, based on the victory conditions, I just need a guy. I need one guy within normal range of the airfield. And the more casualties I inflict in terms of what my resources offer me, or in terms of delaying, then I could just skulk back at the end of the game and sleaze that bullshit victory out from under Steve. So that was the entire point, and every little casualty makes me happy. So, but good there. So when that popped up again, your thoughts? You were probably pretty relieved because this is turn 1, right?
Yeah. I thought you would be further down, but yeah, I figured that's probably where you were going to be because that gives you an easy early kill or potential easy early kill. But I didn't
Yeah.
know where it can't go in a house, right?
Right.
And
Well, that could.
I'm gonna
That one could, but it's not going to. Yeah, I think you're right. I
well,
think X7 or V7 would have been better spots. Now that
and
I see where you're doing, I can shoot the guys and nip them around.
and I'm going to admit I played you enough now. I know that you don't like putting things in buildings or trees.
Okay, fuck it. I'm putting them in trees now.
Yeah, that's right. But I didn't. I know that about you, so I figured that's what's going to happen.
All right. That's fair. Fair enough. Fair enough. And you lost the guy from it.
Yep.
You threw him away.
Yep.
Not caring.
His yes, the infamous
Yeah. So
what is it
there.
called? Harassing fire.
Yeah, the harassing fire, which if you don't do harassing fire in this game, I think you'll probably instantly lose as the French. The American morale isn't spectacular. Most of the guys up top are 6. Harassing fire, I think that equates to a 4 on my OBA.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a 4, and hey, it's a 6 or 7. Pintastic. If I'm stopping you from moving, that's a full turn. So that's the big deal. I blast my own units. Again, if it's a 4, I'm +2 because I'm placed. So, I have to roll a 4 for an effect on my own guy for a normal morale check, and I don't really care if he's pinned. So, I think we screwed up for a turn or two, and we added hindrance for the harassing fire OBA, but that does not incur a hindrance when it's harassing fire, only if it's concentrated.
Yeah.
So it didn't really make a difference in the game. He still annihilated me anyway. But yeah, I tried to get a couple blasts, and you guys are in woods. 4-1,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I cost you a concealment, and I get a couple. Yeah, there's a couple guys breaking. So a couple breaks slows you down. Again, if you're limited to leaders, then you're going to be in big trouble. And then of course you plop down your AR and SR. Of course, he's a guy in the back on the top of the screen.
Yep.
You try to blast my dude here. The big boy's coming down. Start rally, and then you drop some. This is
Phosphorus.
Yeah, America Turn 2 white phosphorus on the big building. And so guys on bottom. Oh, during that time, I generated a flame counter on the bottom of the building. Did that strike you as a surprise, or no big deal, or what the hell's going on?
Yeah, that did. I thought you're risking, if it catches fast, you've just ruined the spot for it. But no, that was an interesting, a very interesting move. Because even if it goes flames, your guy's still not going to be affected by the smoke.
Yeah, he's up on up there, exactly. He'll be on level 3. But spread's another word, but yeah, yeah.
I kept hoping that it would spread faster than it did, but
right, exactly. So 2 things on that. That obviously hurts me, but again, the medium machine gun is just to reach out and touch someone. I'm willing to put it up there and lose it later if it breaks a couple guys. Loss of concealment, and again, it will take time for the fire to go up there. And even if the smoke goes up there, like your white phosphorus, you white phosphorus me, it's only like a +5 going out. So I still have line of sight to your guys. Obviously, I can't interdict anybody through the smoke, but they still won't gain concealment. And that's the biggest part. And I didn't want you to have that building. If you got one of your big machine guns up there or anywhere near there, essentially if you got your HMG up there, if you came on, if you got turned to 5 or 6, and your HMG's on level 3, none of my guys are moving anywhere on the map without getting killed. And that's just pure, well, you know, you got cover arc restrictions, but
I'll be honest. I wasn't concerned about getting anybody up there. I just wanted to get you out.
right. But even just a regular squad up there would be a 6x range, which would be essentially normal range for most of my units. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to give you the elevation. I want to keep everything flat.
Yeah.
So you couldn't do any more. And that was part of the game plan there. So we'll continue on. This is turn 2. Turn 2, your spotting aircraft came on the bottom. You set it up off board over here. And so like you said, the OBA is just kind of, it really didn't change much in the beginning. And so all your guys are making good progress up top. I don't really have anybody moved around very too much. My FFE moves a little bit. Pins a couple guys, you know, no advancing. A big deal there. Smoke drifts. Your white phosphorus starts drifting. And I did blaze here as well. And again, the blaze there, I was hoping to blaze here. And I don't know if the conditions were dry or not.
No, I don't think so.
Moist EC -1. So the spread's
Yeah.
a little difficult, but for the woods, it's not that big a deal. But the concept was blaze this up, so you essentially have to go around through open ground or come through my trees here, which, you know, you could do, or run down the road. So that prevents, essentially, I wanted to create that to prevent you from coming straight at me with your American firepower. I don't know if it did anything. It probably did more harm to me than good, but let's see.
I'll say I figured it. One of the problems with it is that it's gonna if it blazes, it's gonna force you to go into the trees, and up you have to move towards me. All my guys coming down.
Right. Well, I gotta
Right.
go there anyway. I gotta go by the end of the game anyway.
True. But
Yeah.
if it happens fast enough, you got to go early, right? And I think something like that happened as we move along.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then I think you get LOS to these locations somehow. No, I dug entrenchments.
Dug entrenchments, yeah.
Yeah, I dug entrenchments here. So again, for your OBA, your off-board gun, that kind of want to avoid the big explosions coming down on it. It's a +4 OBA. They're probably not going to survive long anyway. But that was the concept, is that way I don't really have to stay in the trees. And then you know, if you should happen to get adjacent to the trees to me anyway, then I'd at least have some. I'd have better cover than you, and I'd have point blank fire on all those shots. So this is a concept I stole from one of my other games in Starter Kit S3, where you just kind of like, you're skulking behind the trees. Because if I were in the trees, and then the Americans approach the tree line down here, then you're in +2, and I'm in +1. That's not a winning equation for the French in this scenario. On the reverse side, although the smoke's screwing up all my firepower now, and at that point you have the advantage, is I'd be in +2 if my fire plan failed, and you'd be in +1, and I'd have first shot. I would simply just have first. And this is just a stand and die. Kill as many Americans as possible. I need one guy, even a half squad, in any of these locations to win the game. So you have to come to me, and but you know, you come pretty hard and fast anyway. All right, I start reacting to your guys up top. No big deal. You dispatch my crew under the gun pretty easily. I was hoping to last a little longer, but with a big old HMG staring me in the face, it's not ever going to happen. And you start trying to figure out which spots you're winning through. I didn't think it was. You kind of move through all of them, and putting 2 guns up there is probably unlikely, but you never know. So a couple fire shots here. You got to the town faster than I wanted you to get there, to be honest with you, but of course I didn't have a lot of guys up there. But turn 3, I really didn't care if you got there, because going across the if I just moved 1 or 2 guys, even the ones I have down here, just to cover a couple spots on that runway. Runways are not a place where you want to be. So I know you didn't want to move on there, and you had to kind of start clearing stuff out anyway. But you have plenty of time to do it. And then these guys start coming down. The flanking force, these are the, I don't know if they're Rangers or whatever like that. Pretty strong force, 667's coming solidly through here. And again, you run into one of my guns, and I'm not sure why these guys are concealed without being on the board, even the replay. And I'm not sure if I dispatched the guy again that one either.
No, I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
I actually, I was actually got in there.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Yeah, you're stuck on top.
Yeah, you pinned a guy.
Hey, yeah, that was the fiasco of that.
Yeah. Well, I know you were quite surprised that I did that.
Yeah. Well, because I thought you were coming on here, but that's not your entry area. So
Yeah.
when I saw this, I knew I was done for. It's like, oh shit. Well, I saw these guys start moving. So okay, cool. He'll just bypass me and then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was praying for your tanks to come this way, spot up through here, and then blast. I didn't actually really want to shoot at them, but given the opportunity, if it presented itself, I might consider taking a tank out. And then these things here, I kind of created. You just do these for like little notes on the map board because I had so much fire going on. I hate, dice roll 7 burns of wood, dice roll 8 for a wooden building because the buildings are not subject to EC modifiers. And so that's just a little side note to keep going through a very busy game where you've got a lot of things to think about.
Yeah.
I think also turn 3. Yeah, turn 2. I destroyed your observation aircraft. Did you give a shit about that or what?
Well, I was annoyed, but I was like, okay, fine. Its greatest benefit for me was the fact that I now knew where your big 75 gun was.
Yeah. Not a big fan of that rule. You're hidden. It's an aerial enemy unit, so you don't lose concealment. But the problem with heavy AA fire, this is not the same as light AA fire. This is heavy AA fire. You roll a die and your covered arc turns, and the problem is your covered arc turning causes loss of hip status, which is, in my opinion, a bunch of bullshit. I didn't like it, but technically by the rules it goes like that. So essentially, even though you hear the bunch of AA guns exploding, you know exactly where he is. Not a big fan of that.
When you took off the tail of his plane, he had time to call in and say, "I think they're over there."
Nah, I think he was a scared shitless American.
Before he got plummeted to his death.
Nah, he took one right in the face, and that's why. Hey, behind the trees. That's why he's behind the trees, so you can't even see him. This is not an LOS of your guy, but I can still shoot at you. So go figure that one out. But yeah, it's just a game rule. I was kind of ecstatic and happy that I got rid of your OBA. That means these guys in the middle might have a better chance of survival. As you'll see, that's probably not the case. But again, I think there's an LOS from here to the thingy over here. So
what's the gun, the AA gun?
Yeah, the AA gun I think has
absolutely there absolutely is. Yeah.
And so that forces the guys on the bottom to have to address that unit because your top guys are your top guys can't get to them.
Yeah. And that's like I said at the beginning. That's where I figured at least one was over there. And that's I needed to. I was going to push my guys there anyway. You just gave me the exact location of one of them. That's
right. And luckily, these guys aren't even on the bottom. So in terms of a French perspective, the guys at the bottom coming in last, although they have high mobility, that's good for me because that means these guys in the middle can do what they need to do, cause fires, start entrenching, and see where the Americans are trying to focus some of their attacks. Yeah. So that was good for me. Top guys, again, I try to FFE as many as possible. This might be a concentration here. So, but yeah, I think it was a concentration to kill this guy over here and try to either get one of these guys dead, just straight up dead. I wanted to concentrate on the HMG. That's why it's concentration, to break that thing, and because that's too much firepower. That's the best weapon on the map, period. Especially from my perspective. And it's ready to fire crazy.
Yeah, it just about lost me the game.
Yeah, and so we've got lots of fighting. Again, the beauty of these old squad leader converted scenarios And I think a lot of squad leader players will, well, hopefully maybe agree. I don't really care. But they're kind of epic in their scale. And most of the squad leader scenarios that use multiple boards use all the boards in the game. You know, Hill 621. You've got, you know, everyone starts on board 3, cross board 4 up to board 2. You know, you got the road to Wilts, the whole damn thing's kind of being used, and you've got these other monster scenarios, squad leader, that simply just either you're moving through them, and the guys are being interdicted through, you know, enemy gunfire. But I mean, this is, I mean, if you look, see how this game progresses, you got an independent fight on top. You've got a fight on the right-hand side, and then the guys on the bottom have yet to come on. So another fight will ensue. So for all intents and purposes, from my perspective, what I like about these types of games, these big games, is you've got 3 separate fights going on. And it seems like some of the games today, they're just like, okay, we've got a shitload of guys, but they're all following this one path, you know. One starter kit scenario, I don't recall the name of it, but Mark and Steve were playing it, and you've got the Germans attacking from both sides of the big 3-board setup, trying to take villages, and it gives the same perspective of managing different fights. You don't have 26 squads to play with in this game. You've got 10 on the top, 7 on the right, and 8 on the bottom, or something like that. Although you've got 17 or 18 squads, you don't have them all in, you know, festoon Budapest bunker fortified facility sort of crap going on. They're still independent little fights, and you've got to deal with it. And that's what I liked about this scenario so far, is that, you know, guys on the bottom, these guys over here, when you guys came up top, I mean, pretty much they got nothing to do but their own little sideshow, and only the top guys have to, you know, it goes faster. Essentially progresses the game faster. So let me load the next file here real quick.
Okay, and one of the things I really like about the old squad leaders conversion is we all play tournament size all the time. It's nice to play one of these that are meaty, that 1 or 2 really bad rolls, even a handful of bad rolls, don't dictate the game.
Yeah, you don't even notice them. They don't even scratch the surface, to be honest with you. Unless, you know, even if it's a radio, you have so many guys. Yeah. All right, so we're up and running with the second log file. This had multiple logs, a ton of logs, so it was a nightmare to put together. But, you know, I lost one. This is the lost file, so it's extremely valuable. If you guys don't like the hex grid on the side, essentially what you could do is you could add boards on the side. It's kind of tricky sometimes in Vasel, but it looks kind of cool. I had nothing else to do, so I kind of did that. And I like the woods on the backside, so no big deal. It's just something I had time to do between game sessions. So we'll proceed from here. And again, Americans are making the push. This is turn 4. This is American turn. French turn 3. It looks like. Yeah, yep. Frenchy turn 3. Again, most of my defense in the middle, kind of the same. Everyone's making entrenchments. The top is showing some ill effects. My movement's gone. Captured a couple units, and 237's trying to kill this leader. I need to kill leaders. If I kill those leaders, those guys can't rally. It's as simple as that. So in epic games like this, like Steve says, you know, there's not a leader within 15 hexes of this guy. So at that point, his attack might stall. And that's the whole key. I'll send 2 squads out here if necessary. They're going to get eliminated. You've got all these S667s, 347s, stuff like that. Anything I put here is going to be killed. But if I kill his pinned CX leader, that'll help my cause a lot. You know, help my cause a lot. I moved a couple guys over here to defend against the new guys coming on. I don't know if vehicles were going to go up there. And also to semi bait him to go that direction. I'm not sure this unit really did much of that location, but what the hell. But yeah, that was the kind of idea. And if they're on crest, you got to put them on top of crest status instead of below it. But so technically, these guys are not in crest status by definition. So put them on top, unlike entrenchments where you put them on the bottom. So, and again, I had a giant killer stack here, right next to Steve's units on the right hand side. Not too bad. The encircled guy up top, really didn't care about at this point. You know, he served his purpose. Still, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you gotta love the melee. You didn't take my guy out. You didn't take my pinned CX leader out.
Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's typical. That's typical melee. But hopefully, I can kill some units. Yeah, that's just true. And so, and you're making good progress on the right hand side. You got a leader popped up or a hero popped up from somewhere. I think I got a hero too. I got my leader, my HMG here. I felt good about my HMG. I just felt good about that position. You were +1 or +2. You're outside your hero range and your pinned leader, so that's a 6+2 on the backside. And so I didn't have a problem with that. And so I felt very positive about this position. These guys are CX and out of range. I think your mortar boy was way the hell up here. I think he was in range of my HMG. And I think you moved him here and I shot him or some shit. Anyway, I felt good about this position here because the other Americans hadn't made it to me. So, and his flank's protected really well. And there's nobody over here. Again, one of the few times I feel good about my HMG, but we'll see how that goes. So, guys are advancing, get shot. I did kill one of your 6.67s with my big gun, I think, after he broke or some shit like that. And here come your bad boys in the bottom. Again, I didn't really like these guys coming on, especially with my AT gun out of commission. Not a big fan at that point. You put him in good positions where I really couldn't get to him. I really don't have any anti-tank capabilities. I can zoom in a little bit here. I really don't have any anti-tank capabilities. I put a trench here. Minor bog potential in that location, but hell, you know, people roll 12s all the time. And so, and I think it stops. I think it fully tracked for trench. Yeah. So it stops this guy coming down there with his HM. Now, of course, he probably wouldn't anyway, but it still stops an avenue of approach. And the whole point was to use this AT gun to stop this thing going this way, and maybe all your tanks going from one side to the other, so I get a flank or ass shot. Didn't work out, but that was the plan. Trench still good. You could bypass around it, but it would take like a bazillion movement points to get around. I didn't think you would do that. That would probably, you'd have better choices to approach. My blaze is going well. What I mean, it's
certainly going to be direct to my attack. But what I really like is that melee still going on over the gun.
Yeah, so that's right. You got you got a squad. You get bullied my ass. You can put on the 6.67 in here, not fighting like a man. You know, leaving the 3.47 to fight like a man. But yeah, you got to bring the big bully.
It's still going on. It's still going on.
Yeah, that was
I need to take it.
That's like two or three phases, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it was nasty. That was nasty. Again, there's other units coming on. I can't do anything about that. Again, I don't mind my position here in the middle, for the most part. Especially since these guys are branched out. If these guys don't have any armor support, they're not getting past my troops. Hopefully. But it depends on my flank. If my flank collapses fast, then the whole thing's going to collapse pretty good. I did enjoy this coming over here. This is what I expected. And this is what I was hoping for, exactly that amount of units, because I could deal with that amount of units. If you spent everybody over there, it will be a complete fiasco from my perspective. Let me change to 80% now. It'll be, I couldn't handle that many units over there. I could handle that. I could handle this many, but not your full force. There's no way I could deal with that. Because where my OBA was, I would have a line of sight to any approach to that area, but the OBA is a strict commodity. You know, use it where you need it. And since all your guys are in the airfield anyway, the OBA might need to be placed somewhere else. So again, this is the end of turn 4. Again, very short one here. Frenchy turn 4. I did kill a guy over here in the close combat. I got the half squad. So a little crew killing a half squad, every little bit helps. What do you got over here now? Yeah, I got a couple breaks early. You've got your full force, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. 5.5 squads plus a couple stragglers from the new reinforcements. So, I'm not disliking the situation here. Although your armor's on, it's not too bad. If I could break a couple more units, then your assault might flounder a little bit. Although you've got a bunch of guys in the village or the airfield area. At most, they're 6 firepower. They're all spread out. They're all 6 firepower shots. Hopefully, I could survive that sort of thing. Once you start grouping up, it's GG, and I just got to run from you. Lots of guys broken up top. Your mortar is active, unfortunately. And your HMG is also still active, which is a huge problem. And my little Bofi is trying to rally as many units as possible. I got one flanker way up top. Do you give a shit about this guy way up top?
Yeah, I do a little bit. I do. Well, actually, at this point, no, I didn't, because I think he's he's like a half squad or something.
Yeah.
I figured you might be coming after the gun, so that's why the guy is just sitting on the gun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a guy. Another cowardly American squad sitting on a gun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that again, I could try and bomb the gun, kind of blow you up a little bit. But yeah, that's for sure. He does have 6 turns. Theoretically, he can, boogie on down, maybe.
Yeah,
but it's a half squad. That's what you do with a lot. That's a long shot. He does have 8 morale, so I think he. I don't even know if I started. Did I start with 8 morale? I don't know. I don't recall.
No, I think he probably battle hardened.
Battle hard? Yeah. I think so.
But he has to be within 4 hexes of the airfield.
Right.
And
that's all right.
That's no, it's all right, but that's a long way for him to go.
AA8. That's
yeah.
It'd be hard to get to AA8, but if he gets to AA8, it's a game winner. So yeah. That's what we see from there. All right. So let me load up the rest of the game, and then we'll continue. All right. So we're on the next one here. This is the beginning of probably end of Frenchy turn. Wow, there's a lot of casualties in that turn. Yeah, we didn't have any casualties before then, practically, on the casualty track, as you saw over here.
Yep.
Not much, couple half squads.
Yeah.
But turn 4, that's where the big engagements happen. And so, and this is we're gonna ride this bad boy out to the end here. So I think it's American turn 5. Let me see if we progress it. No, it looks like the end of turn 4.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe big French turn 4. Breaking a couple units here and there. Oh yeah, lost concealment there, unfortunately. Didn't really want to do that, but it happens. Again, I prep fire my HMG, and unfortunately my leader breaks, but I did get a hero out of that. So at that range, it's kind of like a wash, almost a wash. You're pounding my guys pretty good down here. A lot of surrenders, and we couldn't. One of the SSRs, you could not reject surrender. At least it was one side. Maybe the Americans could reject, but it was a surrender rule and you could have interrogation as well. We had to check for interrogation, read the interrogation rules. I wasn't familiar with them. We had a couple questions on closeness, things like that, and they are kind of confusing. But so I hope we did them well. We're not going to go over them here right now, but
interrogation the only time interrogation worked was once.
Yeah,
and I couldn't see, and that was up in the top board.
Right.
Because I said I knew where you were, and then that proved me you weren't there. It's like, oh crap, okay, where the hell is he then?
Oh yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, so that makes it. The interrogation helps a little bit, especially since this is more like, and I removed the boundaries. Although the only thing hidden from sight now is the OBA radio, which is a field phone, and which I was rolling 10s for contacts the entire game. If that was a regular radio, this game would have been over 4 turns ago, and it's turn 5. And so I have 1 hidden gun remaining and 1 leader. So in terms of interrogating units to find the guns, you found them as soon as you kind of like moved in the general vicinity.
Yeah.
So technically, I guess you could put them in a really odd spot and then push them into line of sight at the end of the turn because the guns are all M12 and stuff like that. So they should be pretty easily manhandled. Mortar shoots, I just get out of the mortar area. I don't want to get destroyed by a mortar. Not fun. Guys are shooting, breaking. Guys are making the good progress in the bottom. Tank shows up. Starts creating a bad day for the French. And the guys in the flank over here getting close to my gun. I didn't mind it so much the gun because I could swivel, get the point blank shot. Need like a 9 to hit these guys. And like a 4 for a critical hit. And that would blow the living crap out of anything. So I knew that I could probably break 2 guys over there easily. And with 2 guys broken, especially if the leader broke with him, again, it would stall the attack because there's a lot of open ground. And even with my 4 firepower, with a little 2 LMGs or a La Rue in the middle with his 248 half squad, could hold off a couple of Americans with his 8 morale, of course. And then I got little Frenchy in the not in gully, but this is a sunken road. And tanks may not cross sunken road hex sides. So this is essentially a giant anti-tank ditch. So that was a huge part. Essentially, the tanks can only move past by here and here. And that was something that I figured out. I was going to set up my defenses, my like trenches here. I was going to put a trench here and a trench here to force your driving escapades even further around. And so I didn't end up doing that. But that was a very strong option that I was thinking about going for, is stopping your tanks from going that direction. And but we didn't pursue that. So lots of death, lots of Frenchies surrendering over on the right hand side. Everyone's fighting for the lives over there. AT gun tries to target the guys on the airfield. My last hidden AT gun pops up here. Starts to acquire his tank there. What's the to kill on those crappy guns? Are those 47s?
That was actually pretty good. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was.
Oh, they're APCR, right? They're APCR only. Is that right?
I can't remember for sure.
I think those guns were APCR only. 47s.
Oh, you have it on the map. Yeah, APCR only. Yeah.
Yeah, so 47 APCR is a 13 to kill. Base at range is +1. So that's a 5 hex range. That's a 14 to kill. Your armor is 4. So these guns are extremely effective against these Stuarts. And which is exciting. And you think, it's a little piece of crap 47 gun. That's 47 APCR only. And that to kill is very similar to a AA, or not an AA, but a machine gun bonus they get for to kill. And we'll see that also later in the game. But again, that's a confidence. That's a supporting this particular thing with a little APCR gun. I don't even think they have, I don't know if they have HE or I don't know what the hell, but the to kill on those things is very high. Just because it's not an 88, people don't think that your guns can't kill. You know, if these AT guns couldn't kill these tanks, that would be a poorly designed scenario. It would be kind of worthless. So they're there for a reason. They're not a free kill. I mean, that's a 1 in 12 chance of it bouncing off the hull. And even, you know, if he's got his turret on the side is actually the same as the front. So whether you hit him on the side or the front for an upper structure hit, it's exactly the same. So I think it's much simpler when when the designers have tanks like that in the game. It's sort of like the old, the KVs with their 8 armor all around or 11 armor all around. You don't really, doesn't really matter where you shoot them from. It's the same value. So.
And he did what he wanted. I mean, he's not dead yet, but he did what he wanted. What I wanted him to do, is that was to flush out.
Yeah, you found the last guy, and now it's easy. Now it's just a matter of executing. Again, like in our scenario, you got 2.5 squads over there that need to take out a gun, 2 guns, and you got a tank. So, yeah, it's like, say, it's another mini game because nobody on the right hand side can get over there. There's no helping that. There's getting the job done over here is essentially this little area, and maybe one of these 2 guys might influence the fight as well. You know, and maybe some stragglers over here. But once you start entering this area over here, then you've got, okay, is it a priority to help that objective or this objective in front of me? As I've moved all my guys to the woods line as well, because all of the Americans are separated for the most part. These guys are clumped.
Yep.
But these guys are separated. So it's like, okay, I got to move now because I'm not going to be able to move again. Maybe at this point, for me, seeing what you had left up top, if I could use the smoke of the burning fire here, break a couple of these guys, and then move these guys up through this way, it's going to be a lot harder for you. You know,
Absolutely.
a lot harder.
Yep.
And that was the plan. And then you make a couple adjustments in this one here, which slows me down enough. And that blaze is growing, and that's why we have the level 1s. I just put those on the entire time to help, you know, visualize all the different levels in the particular game here. And that guy's broken, gone. He served his purpose. Again, your weapons are not going to be around the whole game, especially in a big epic game like this. AT gun's gone, AA gun's gone. Steve hasn't lost any armor yet, but that's the whole concept. Is
Not yet.
your weapons are to serve a purpose, and once those weapons have served the purposes, and I gotta be honest with you, thinking about it just right now, in the smaller scenarios, like you said, like the tournament size scenarios, if you lose the gun early, the game's over. I mean, the game is highly dependent upon those guns. In something like this, that unit or that item or gun, maybe the survivability of that gun, the OBA, maybe you're supposed to get 3 or 4 missions. That's it. And then it's gone. And then you have to deal with the rest of it the rest of the time. So I think in larger games like this, and this is very manageable because most of it's infantry, is such that it trains you to not necessarily really care about losing your guns if you roll, you know, whatever. A lot of times the smaller games, the 6-turn games, you know, everybody's intensifying every single turn, and you know, all your guns are gone because you're malfunctioning them, and you know, instead of them being destroyed, they're just malfunctioning. So it's kind of not as dramatic. So you're coming up on my guys here. I do pop him. I do get a lucky shot and finish off that tank in AA3. Blast. I think your crew jumps out. Doesn't your crew jump out?
No, it doesn't make it.
Oh yeah, I thought for some reason I thought he jumped out. So with your tank gone, what's the plan? Same thing?
Well, same thing. I have to use my infantry to get there. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna have to push forward. I'm gonna have to use my infantry best of my ability to try to speed things up.
How do you feel about your attack coming on the forested area?
On the forested area, I mean, from the bottom, I'm feeling good. I've got lots of guys. The smoke's going to help me as I get there. It's going to provide me with some cover.
Yeah, I figured that out too late.
Yeah, but it was still.
I don't think we had a breeze in the beginning. Did we have a breeze in the beginning of the game?
No.
Yeah,
So.
the mild breeze. I cheered for it, and then I realized, oh wait, the Americans are just going to walk up now.
And the thing was, if I'm able to break you, you can't route back because I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna spill to squeeze you.
Yeah, I was hoping to burn all that stuff. So you'd be in the open or be on at least the flanks, so I could go straight.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, your right hand side looks good. You got all your leaders going. Hell, you got 3 leaders over there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Eastwood in the middle, and yeah, a lot of good stuff going on. Simone is still alive in the middle. Not sure how, but he's alive in the middle. A couple troops. Delacour is in the center as well. Again, at this point, I'm liking where I am. My machine gun's not gone yet. It's got a repair of 3, so I was feeling very positive on that. All my squads here, decent fire groups. You know, LMGs for maybe some fire lanes or whatever like that, and you know, everyone's in smoke, or there's a lot of TEMs at this point in the game. I mean, you're in smoke, I'm firing smoke, you're firing out of smoke.
Yep.
There's a lot of TEMs, so we need to build up some firepower, and that's what's kind of happening on both sides. And yeah, it's getting down to the now at this point is where the dice rolls really matter, where I need to break one or two guys while not losing too much, and so on and so forth. And because yeah, you're just at this point, this is the squeeze of the game. This is probably where a lot of games would start. Okay, here the Americans set up in this perimeter around the French, and then it would actually, I mean, you could just start a scenario right here, given this, to be honest with you, and make your own scenario, and go with it without moving. But I think the length of the game is not an issue for me. I like the idea that your reinforcement groups come on separately and at different times, which really throws a little bit of chaos into it, which keeps you on your toes, which you need to be in this specific type of game. And like through the whole game, I think the tactics were changing all the time. At least, you know, you got to think from turn to turn to turn, and you got to think like 3 turns ahead. Where am I going to be in 3 turns? You know, a regular game would be over in 3 turns, and this one, we still got 4 or 5 turns left. You know, and there's a lot of game left in this, and so, and it's tight. It's tight in all the areas. I mean, well, you got 2 guys, literally 2 guys, on the top of the map, right? You got 2 guys at the top of the map. I've got two and a half squads at the top of the map, and you've got 2 guys. I don't even. Oh, your HMG's broken, so you got 1 guy on the top of the map. That's got to fend off 4 Frenchies, and yeah. What were you thinking about that point? I mean, this is big. This is a big turning point at the top of the map.
Yep. I started to think that, you know what, that's got a long range. I got to be able to take you out. I got to try to take you out before you get that gun. It was getting a little I was getting very concerned.
Yeah, you had your little OBA CX guy here, which I could chase down, but but he could cover a little bit, just like my guy covered. So that was an interesting dynamic that we both use our OBA to do exactly the same thing: is slow the enemy's advance. You know, a good harassing fire is going to stop all that movement coming over. Especially like you say, the turn-based is not going to be there. You got mortar for reach out and touch someone, high rate of fire, and you've got a couple units in the middle that you have to decide what you want to do. So again, it's coming down to the nitty gritty of essentially a game of chicken. Who moves first, and to see if their fight or their attacks are executed well enough that would give one of us some sort of advantage. And I think it was going back and forth the entire time.
Yeah.
So my Frenchy start moving up. We'll just continue moving. Ranger 1. Lots of firepower. One guy breaks down the bottom right corner under my main stack, holding you off. That side's going to collapse pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was able to mortarize your HMG.
Oh yeah, you blasted the hell out of that. Leader died, or hero died. Guy broke. And at that point, I was happy the machine gun was malfunctioned.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Because now you can't use it against me. And there's no way I'm reoccupying that location with a -2 acquisition on it in a woods hex. I'm just not going there. It's just not happening. That's an American, a German mortar, maybe. American mortar is a 4 -1. I'm just taking a morale check, and there's no way I can do that. I just can't do that. Certainly can't. Technically, I guess it could risk a leader, but it was a malfunctioned weapon. You don't even know if you're going to get it back. Yeah. And you keep pounding the living shit out of them as the dirty American player that you are.
That's right.
Oh yeah, you mouthed your mortar, so that's what you get for being dirty. For shooting Frenchies that were trying to surrender. You just they had their hands up. So here's your AA assault is occurring over here. Here's where it's like, okay, I'm gonna blast the living shit out of you, and I think I missed or didn't get a result.
Yep.
And a 667 against a 228 is not a happy stance, not a happy camper in close combat.
Yep.
And then you do the brilliant thing and running through my smoke that I created for you. You're welcome. You'll get the bill later.
Yeah.
And and the trench. You know, at that point I knew you would be able to enter those trench systems, but again, it's more survivability. And so It's a time of knowing when to get the hell out of dodge, and it
Yep.
was, I think I missed it by a half a turn or something like that. Yeah, you move your AC gun up,
Yep.
up in this location, saying, nope, you're not going anywhere, Frenchy. So not happy about that. So what that does is delay me from leaving, and then your other squads could move north,
Yep.
deal with me. So I still kind of like my position here. I still had plenty of OBA left in my guns, and I was drawing blacks all game. I don't even think I drew red. I may have drawn one red, but I don't really care. You just got to use it.
Your OBA, I think, I won't say it kept you in the game, but it was instrumental in you not losing earlier.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
And here I got to blast my own guys, unfortunately, because there's too many good American targets here. That and I'm not in them woods, so I could blast myself. I'm 8 morale with a 4. I say that's a good chance of my guy surviving. I think he broke though. It's fire there. Where were the route phase? Guys are surrendering on the bottom. Now it's looking bad on the bottom.
Yeah.
You're getting guys on top of me, which you can't afford. It's the French. It's a 3-2 for close combats. Not looking good. Oh, I think this guy routed to this location here. My guy survived. You survived, unfortunately, with your 6 morale. I was excited about that FFE1, but it didn't really do a lot, to be honest. I think it was probably the ones that needed to be effective but wasn't.
Right.
Unfortunately. Yeah, the whole bottom starts collapsing at this point. A couple guys in melee. I got a couple decent chances of melee, but it just didn't work out for me. And your AR, and then I FFE that center area there to try and take care of your tank. Open top, open top, low armor, lots of minus modifiers. So we go for that. I think, did my LMG take you out, or was it the OBA? I'm pretty sure
it was the. Actually, no. You know what? I think it was your LMG.
Yeah.
Actually, no. A blaze to kill me in a blaze, you'd need. No, it must have. Well, you need a 4.
LMG's a 5. I could roll maybe like a snake eyes.
Well, maybe you rolled a snake eyes.
Yeah, maybe snake you. Yeah. Not that I need another blaze, because that just adds one. But yeah, I think I got lucky there. Again, 0 armor. LMGs, 0 armor, 6x range is a 5 base to kill. Not base to kill, but modified to kill is a 5. And that's extremely doable. That's especially if I mobilize you on that SP gun. I mean, just run around. Well, your AA gun shoot, but it helps.
So it always feels good to take out an AFE with an LMG.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even in a losing cause.
Yeah, exactly. 75 is now captured. My crest guys are like, great. Now we can't really do a lot. This 47 turned into an interesting battle over here. Prep fired on those guys. The little medium machine gun dudes coming up on them. Break them. So that was exciting. And then my other units are moving to DM some of your units. Somehow
you got off down the bottom, and I thought that down on board 6 at what is it, CC1. Your guy he escaped, and he was making his way around and I was able to pop him.
Which guy's that one? I missed it.
Way down the bottom, in CC1 on board 6.
Oh, this dude. Yeah, I see him. Yeah.
Yep.
This guy broke. He gets away, so hopefully he can self-rally and come around the backside. Yeah. I was extremely happy for this, because now you've got to cover all these guys. That's 5's not difficult to rally with, and you still got a guy in the middle. Yeah, that was pretty. That was key. That as long as you got route paths available, you could run away. Lots of prisoners are being gone. These are escape prisoners here. I don't mind the icon so much. I think it's kind of quirky looking, but anyway, they're running away. Obviously, they're unpossessed, but lots of broken dudes. This melee is going my way for once. So you lost a tank, a couple other guys, got a guy running away. DM the guy over here on the left. The top, DMing guys, capturing guys, and the HMG is just waiting for me to pick up.
Yep.
So this is looking really rough up the top, although I got green guys, I've got, I think, 3 squads up there. No, La Ruza half squad, full squad. I've got a decent force up at the top area here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That if I can counterattack a little bit, I mean, you got nobody at the top.
Yep.
So how did you think you were going to deal with these guys up here? At this point, what time is during the game? This is Frenchy turn 6. You have 3 turns.
Yeah. The guys, the radios and the broken guys down there, they're all going to have to go after. You're going to have to go into the trees to prevent you from being close enough.
Oh, right.
Right. My key is to keep you at a range. Right. Right. As long as I can keep you at range, I'm fine. So that it got to be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
I'm starting to strategize as best I can. Where do I go? How do I get around? How do I stop you? Or how do I get to a spot where I can deal with you? Right.
All right. I actually hadn't thought about that. I mean, this 437 green unit is a world of difference between that 437 and 457 in terms of VC. This guy's got to get so much closer. Let's say this guy gets over here. He's worthless here. He's got to literally get to this area to even be a factor. So that's doable. But the 457's got a little bit of reach out and touch some one power.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I was feeling pretty up top. Not a lot of time for me to do what I did. At this point, you got to make sure you're focusing on the VC because every movement factor counts at this point in the game. Because you've got to get within range. And the French do not have the last turn of the game. They've got to be in position before the Americans essentially, quote, counterattack. So now we had something going on. Let's see. More FFEs going off. Prep firing in the middle. Defensive firing. Let's see. I think I want to get to the gun. Here we go. Route phase. Guy starts surrendering. Frenchy starts surrendering on the right hand side. That guy routes. He's good. And then this guy over here, something happened over the guy on the left hand side in terms of route.
Which guy?
The 228s over here. There's something that occurred in that we revisited before. See, I say you surrendered here. But was that? Yeah, I think you surrendered. And then did I let go of you or something like that?
No, actually.
Or maybe you could route. Was it that you could?
I think because I could actually go into, your range is only 2, right? So I could go into the gully, over and over. Right? I could still get away.
Yeah, but you couldn't reach your destination though.
No, are you?
So I'm not sure.
Actually,
I'm not sure what happened because I don't think I ended up keeping him as a prisoner.
No, if you step forward, I think. What happened?
And guys are just breaking on the right hand side as we're going. I capture that guy.
Yeah.
Most of this is just clean for the Americans, but I think because it's relatively important because
it's the next group. I think it's the next group. I think that if you keep going, it wasn't that because he caused you problems.
Right. The capture potential caused problems.
Having to keep him as a prisoner,
It's something. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure what the deal was. I'm not sure if you routed first, then I said, "Oh wait, I can interdict and capture you later." I'm not sure.
That might have been it. That's possible.
Because I'd rather because I still don't lose my firepower because I'm equivalent. But that may have been it. That you run away.
I'm building myself my own French Foreign Legion.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Oh my
Right.
God, this is Vichy, France.
I got
Holy
myself
shit.
2 full squads, a half squad, and a leader. And I decided at this point I've decided I got to take this guy off the board.
Yeah,
Right.
he's got to go.
I'm leaving. I know it's gonna leave me short, but I'm taking the guys off the board.
Because what happens when that 347 breaks or the 149 dies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then that
Bad
becomes
thing.
a 3-to-1 -1 in CC because the prisoner leader can apply, I believe. I'm not sure if it can or not, but I
Yeah.
think it could.
And it's like I got to go.
Yeah.
I absolutely have to go. So even though it's going to cost me a half squad off board, I
Yeah,
figured I'd do that.
that's a sound tactical decision because you've only got a squad and a half here, and if I get a half squad with a 4-hex range or 3-hex range because it'd be a conscript, he could easily overwhelm this unit or just cause you delay for the rest of the guys. Yeah, that's the big kicker. I mean, to get your full squads, I'm not going to roll 1 to 6 attack. They could break all day long. But when you got a stack of dudes right here, this becomes a prime target, even for me, because my guys are just going to CR. And if you break, it's going to be bad news for you. I think we had a close combat down here late in the game or mid-game with a prisoner unit. I think one of your guys dispatched him later, but that was a real problem. That's a real issue. And I do have your HMG now. Let me zoom back out here.
I was very unhappy about that.
Yeah, and this guy broke up. I'm not sure what happened. Was this guy sniped? Your big 667 up top, or did I just get lucky? I think I got lucky.
I think you came over and got him.
Yeah, I ate morale. I think I advanced up here and then tried to just get lucky over there, and I think I did. And he's like, looks like he's CR'd and shit. So I'm not sure. I think he probably rolled 12 or something like that. Yep. But yeah, that was a surprise. But that's what he had to do. So continue on. What turn are we on now? We are on American turn 6. It looks like. Again, this is just a mop up. There are no more French south of that hedge line. Pretty much all the French are just within 5 hexes of the airfield, other than what you see up top and on the left-hand side. So it's just, we're going to zoom in a little bit. Keep this side over here. And again, I think I still have some OBA here. So if you enter that tree line, most likely I'm going to drop some OBA on it. That's the whole point. And again, the same reason, the problem that you had up top is that I could pound my own units or pound you as you're trying to approach.
Right.
So I was still feeling confident with my OBA because the contact is 11. I mean, it's not like I'm not going to be in contact with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the crew over here, all your guys are pinned. I got lucky and pinned a whole bunch of those dudes. And then the 667, once he gets adjacent, well, I got lucky and break him as well. Oh, I think this is it right here.
Yeah.
I think this is it right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, the mortar breaks that guy. Bummer. That's not fun. A lot of breaks.
Here he comes.
Is this it?
I thought this next one you had to half firepower.
Oh yeah, this is the problem here because he'll be a full. The other guy was a half squad. This guy's a full squad. This is what caused the problem for me. And I wanted him to route away, but at this point, I don't have any firepower on that crew. That's a big problem. So, and then I dispatched a couple units in the middle. I have a good force against your 666. I mean, this is critical right here. But where are we in the turn? This is Frenchy turn 6? Oh, shit. This is the last turn of the game for me.
Yeah.
So, situations, I got an HMG leader squad top within line of sight. HMG line of sight to the objective. DM unit up here is not going to be a factor in the game unless he happens to get a free, easy, lucky roll, and then he's got to charge a HMG, so probably not going to happen. I've got, I think this is my 248 running to his win position here in AA8. 238 is going to advance on leader in close combat. Maybe. I don't really actually need to. I guess I could just drop an L6. These 2 units are in range as well. I mean, there's a shitload of my units that you don't even have anybody next to. I don't even know what the hell happened after this, to be honest with you.
I'm in trouble.
And
sure.
and then these guys over here again, the 228, like we said before, these guys
Yeah.
here delayed these guys to do what they do, but you know, um, see what happens. So yeah, this was a problem. I think it's like I think I
Yeah.
didn't want to take those prisoners, but I had to, and that really
That's right.
screwed me in my firepower.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
you couldn't fire out now.
yeah, I can't DF against these guys, and this guy's broken, so that guy's pretty much just gone. But end
Yeah.
of the game, so let's zoom out just a little bit.
And at this point too, all of your guys are down at the bottom, right?
Yeah, they're gone.
Nobody.
Yeah,
So my guys are just gonna. The only thing left for me is just CX everybody and go north,
yeah,
right? Go
yeah.
up the board. I have to.
Yeah, it's bonsai run through airfield, through whatever. You got to
Yep.
smoke, and at this point, the smoke is my friend because that adds
That's
another
right.
movement factor to your CXing,
Yep.
and that can make all the difference in the world. And not that I have a lot of fire. Matter of fact, I don't have any fire onto the airfield, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem. That's a big
Yep.
problem. And I don't even what the hell happened. I don't know what happened here. Let's figure out what happened. My FE plops down because I want to destroy your guy. Oh, it looks like there was a guy here. Maybe you had an American there that didn't show up on the
It
log,
could have been.
log
Yeah.
file. So blasting the entire, and again, harassing fire. Now you can't come after me on this side. You've got to come around through open ground.
Yep.
You got to make your way through open ground on the other side because you're not going to be charging through here to get to me. And at that point, because the harassing fire doesn't have the hindrance modifier, although this guy's CX, that's good defensive fire capabilities that I have over here.
Yep.
Because this guy is actually satisfying, and this guy's yeah, I don't even know what happened to that guy.
Yep.
Let's continue. So you advance fire. Oh, sorry, this was American turn 8, not French turn 8.
Right.
Advance fire there. That guy routes back. I route that way. Route into that location. He's about done at that point. Now
Yep.
route paths become a problem because I'm getting closer to your other Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're checking the lines of sight. Lines of fire. Oh, there must be an enemy unit. Oh, enemy units. That's right. Oh, for your surrender. Yeah, you just jumped into this combat. This guy broke. I think he broke under my own OBA, but
Yeah.
or maybe the 667. There's a 667 that popped up right
That's
there.
true. Yep.
Lines of sight. Just for concealment. This is a concealment gain thing here.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I think we're on the end of the turn. Yeah, there's a melee. My leader breaks. You've got a hero running up to the top. Yeah, all your guys' forces, a bunch of forces. CX. Yeah, that's right. You CX'd and ran to the right-hand side.
Yep.
So you're getting a bunch of guys, at least in position where bad things may or may not happen.
Yep.
Man, this guy's got a couple half squads or a couple full squads with him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's still Frenchy's left in the game, or him, but he's in melee, so it's not in good order. So as long as he stays in melee, he's in big trouble. This guy breaks, and I actually had a good chance on your attack roll, I think, but you rolled.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a good attack. And then oh, it looks like a motion tank up here. I don't really see the tank. The file must have screwed up or something like that. So
yeah, but that's and I did have enough. I mean, I did have enough to go into like it was just enough.
oh yeah, your last move points.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're just talking about the entries and things like that. So at this point, the end of the tank, for whatever reason, the log file didn't move this tank. I think Steve moved this tank over here last turn, and then took this tank. Essentially, the tank ended up here, and so so I don't have any good order units left in range. My radio guy was on first level in this location here, which gives him a good breadth of the battlefield, and you guys can check out what types of lines of sight that he had earlier in the game or later in the game. Again, from here, he could see through past all the hedges, which is the most important thing. So technically, he could drop an OBA down here, down in this area, down this approach. There's thin lines of attack through here, very thin, but I knew I could see this guy or one or two of these hexes using the geometry ASL. That's pretty much I just
Yeah.
thumb through like right these two hexes here, two locations here, and then again, he could drop OBA all in the airfield, or this direction way over here.
Yeah.
So big difference, and that would make it seem like that he's in this building versus some other buildings. So I think he did his job. He's the one guy that did his job mostly. I was
Oh yeah.
satisfied with my OBA. Whether I put it in the right spots, maybe not, but it seemed to do its job. And I just needed that. I did get a shot off at your tank as he was cruising by.
Yeah.
I did get a shot off at that. I didn't quite hit him. I did.
Although I'm not sure you could have, because of the crew, having more prisoners than you.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure.
Right.
Is it inherent firepower you lose?
I don't know, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you missed.
Yeah, exactly. I missed and so on and so forth. Or maybe I think you drove through some OBA or some bullshit like that.
No, I came back down. I came through the smoke at the bottom. I didn't actually drive through the OBA.
Oh, down through here. You cruised through here, I think. Yeah.
So hitting through the smoke was pretty difficult. Yeah, and I can tell you, the night before we played this, I counted how many points I need, like 20 times.
Oh my gosh.
What process do I have to be able to turn my turn and get into that hex, right? Because I couldn't come up. I had to come up from the side. I could not come up from the bottom.
Yeah, because I don't think there was.
There's just not enough space.
Yeah, the clearance isn't there.
Yeah,
the clearance. Yeah, there's only one really good spot though. Yeah, that's pretty tight right in there.
Overall, I think it was a very exciting game. And again, it came down to the last turn.
Yeah, last turn, last move phase, and everything had to click, and it was a hard fight. I think good overall game. I think very manageable. The turns were long at times, and that's one of the primary reasons why we're doing this, even though this is probably running decently length. But this is a long scenario to play. Unless you play extremely fast, you're moving lots of units. Just physically pushing counters on the map decreases the game time. We didn't even have, we had 3 vehicles in the game. The OBA wasn't that bad. The OBA did not slow the game down, I believe. I don't think it did. The only thing it did was I had to roll dice for every single hex to represent possibly snaking my field phone line, which I think went up this direction. But I had to represent a possibility. I had to roll those dice anyway, just in case a snakes would show up and cut my line. And that's something you have to do with a field phone. And that's one of the results of OBA or other things, snake eyes within that line. So it's just 19 dice rolls. You go pretty quick through that. Lots of movement, lots of deciding what to do. But overall, I think the flow was pretty good of the game. This is not an overly cumbersome game. Again, simply because the board 4 is a separate fight from board 6. There are essentially, you have 2 different scenarios, and then once you split units up, you have 3 separate different engagements that really don't have much of an impact on the other in terms of dice rolling in that particular area. Obviously, displacing guys from my woods up here, or Steve reinforcing back up here. I mean, that's late in the game, and at that point, you're down to 1 board. At that point, it's a 1 board type of game.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I think the game was good. And again, thanks to the good fighting and foxholes, and luckily got the observation plane destroyed. I think that reduced some of the time too. Less OBA. Otherwise, you have 3 OBA up on the board. But
it was a good game. I remember playing this in Squad Leader, and I'm really happy I got a chance to play it in ASL.
Oh, you play? I did. I don't think I did play this in Squad Leader, but yeah, it's another reason why I want to play, because it's one of the GI scenarios, I believe, right?
Was it GI? No, it was it. Yeah, I guess no, it would have been. Yeah, it would have.
The GI
Yeah, it would have
or
been
the
the GI.
300
Yeah,
scenarios. Yeah.
yeah,
And so
GI. Yeah.
not only does it bring back the nostalgia of GI, which is like a stone's throw away from ASL anyway, for the most part,
Hmm.
but it's one of the epic scenarios, the bigger type scenarios, so like Chateau de Canoy and Hill 621, stuff like that. Just big scenarios, big beefy scenarios where, like Steve said, you know, uh, I don't. I mean, I'm sure Steve rolled a couple 12s, or I rolled a couple 11s or 12s.
Oh yeah.
It didn't. Not even a speed bump. You just keep going because you got tons of guys to follow it up. It's not that big a
Yeah.
deal.
And I after the game, I went and pulled my the squad leader scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Counter density didn't change. It was the same counters.
Yep. Yep.
Right. Victory conditions were slightly different, but overall, and I think you used your. I was the French. You used your FFE far better than I did. I don't remember who won the game. I just remember playing it, and it again. Give me a big scenario most of the time, and I like playing them. Right. I mean, I think what now happens is instead of playing the big scenarios, people are playing the hassles, the big campaign games,
Right.
and they're not
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
they're not giving love to the bigger ones. And I encourage people get some love to the big scenarios. Yeah, they take a little longer for sure, but you know what? The cleanup off Vassal is pretty. The setup and the cleanup from Vassal is pretty quick.
Yeah. And we played this over multiple sessions over multiple months.
Yeah.
There was a big delay. The big delay starting it up. That's my fault. Always my fault. And then getting the game going and then rolling through it. This is epic game, takes epic time, you know.
Yep.
So, but fun game, and I think this board didn't exist here. There's like an overlay missing. I'm not sure why that board's on the map. So I don't. I think this is a woods an overlay, but I'm having some difficulty with my overlay things. But that's
It would
about
have.
it.
Yes, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
This board, this map building doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think it's the one. The overlay has a woods in 03 and a woods in N6. The
Yeah.
rest are open ground.
Yeah, allows you to
Because I had to be very careful coming up that way because of your guys in the crest.
Yeah, and this is a balance thing, of course, right? I mean, you can't give the Americans a second level location. Then he sees past this entire woods line, and it's just with the range, it's ridiculous. So it's all a balance thing, and I like it. And when you see overlays like this, you have to ask, where's an overlay there? Why does this building go up to level 3? Et cetera, et cetera. Or why in some scenarios why are all boards or all buildings level 0 or level just ground level? It's to not break the game by putting a very powerful device with a very powerful leader into a prominent position, just dictating the game, and that's not fun. So I didn't think any one particular area of this game dominated in terms of just completely like being one-sided. I think all the fights were pretty fair and even, and even though you got to the airfield, that kind of wasn't part of my VC, so I didn't really care too much. I delayed whatever I could delay, and and these guys didn't have a tremendous impact on these guys per se. They didn't just kind of vanquish them. I think the guys on the bottom did the job, and it flowed pretty smoothly. And again, I mean, it was close. This was last turn.
Yep.
I mean, last turn, last American turn. That's all you could do. That's all you could hope for.
And I want to thanks Stu for playing it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good.
And thanks to Battle School for making those dice exciting to roll.
Yeah, dice and the OBA chits that I use that I'll explain, and Ritter Krieg as well for all the stuff they brought. I think I've got picked up a Quadragare from Ritter on that as well, so we could play something like this. So good scenario, good times, and we'll just do a route from there, and we'll see you guys later.
Keep playing, everybody. We love this game.
On Discord. Take care.
Bye-bye.